In our leading story, Sunday was the one-year anniversary of the Lily Mine tragedy. And sadly, 1 year later, the bodies of the 3 trapped miners still have not been found. Mineral Resources Minister Mosebenzi Zwane has confirmed that the departmental probe into the tragedy will now be converted into a full-blown inquiry, which will begin in a few days' time. Meanwhile, compensation still eludes the families of the victims, even as the mine is under a prolonged business rescue plan.
The families were promised 200,000 each, and that was made, in fact, probably 2 days after the anniversary of the collapse. And the company has committed to pay that. That is included in our fundraising efforts. Unfortunately, the Barbrook mine has been placed into business rescue in December, and that has changed the dynamic of how we raise our funding. So we're speaking to our funding principals to include the Barbrook mine as well as the Lily mine for the monies. But certainly the money is not being paid, but it is included in our plans to pay them, and they are very first on the agenda. The status of the mine is that it remains closed. We need to develop a new decline to open the mine. That will cost 200 million rand. We'll go through the process of reopening the mine, ensuring the safety is correct, and then it will be opened in conjunction with the DMR.
Yvonne Mnisi, Pritin Gambula and Solomon Urenda were in a lamp room housed in a shipping container on the surface of the mine when a supporting pillar underground collapsed. They are still buried underground. The container in which they were trapped in was buried under tons of rock and soil. A further deterioration and the collapse of high walls surrounding the area made rescue efforts impossible and ultimately was suspended. The Mineral Resources Department has now converted their probe into the tragedy into a full-blown inquiry. No mining can resume at Lily Mine until the inquiry is concluded.
They've allocated money, but no money has been given to the families. And then secondly, the fact is that this has been a year. And now that the government has taken this into an inquiry, I mean, there's nothing been done to those who are buried under there, and the communities, as previous speakers have said as well. I mean, there's no closure. Communities, the families can't move forward. So these are some of the things that need really urgent attention, because they need to find a way how to address this adequately. 200,000, these loved ones are gone forever. And we know that these were breadwinners in most cases, all 3 of them. And so there's a loss of income for life. So 200,000 is nothing in compared to the loss of income that they would experience for the rest of their lives.
To be honest with you, is that as an activist within the mining industry, is that I will say the mining industry in South Africa is deteriorating due to the fact that there's a lot of incompetency that which is existing within the industry. And looking at the industry as a whole right now, looking at this matter of Lily Mine, it's a joke. In fact, you can hear right now, they say they compensated the people 200,000 rand, which is not enough. These companies, they're making exorbitant money, too much money, and they don't care about our people on the ground.
There's a slew of questions that the Lily Mine tragedy has raised for the mining industry at large. First and foremost, will a public inquiry into Lily Mine tragedy help boost industry safety norms? Has worker safety become a casualty of profiteering in the industry? Is there poor investment in health and safety equipment by the mine owners? Are poor safety regulations a matter of profits trumping human rights? And lastly, what more should the government be doing to ensure safety in the mining sector?